concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased by approximately 50% over a period of less than 200 years. This surge is linked to industrialization, widespread burning of fossil fuels, and changes in land use. The rise in CO2 levels intensifies the greenhouse effect, as gas molecules trap thermal radiation emitted from the planet's surface. Observations of ice cores and modern measurements indicate that such rapid changes in atmospheric composition have not been recorded for many thousands of years. The banded coral snake is one of the most venomous representatives of the elapid family in Southeast Asia. This species inhabits the tropical forests of Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and Indonesia, preferring a secretive terrestrial lifestyle. When threatened, the snake can flatten its body, visually increasing its size and making its bright, contrasting stripes more noticeable. This coloration serves an aposematic function, warning potential predators of the presence of a potent neurotoxic venom. As a result of this demonstrative behavior, the likelihood of an attack decreases, giving the snake an additional chance to avoid conflict. Female mummies of ancient Egypt were often preserved worse than male ones due to differences in burial practices. Men, especially those of high status, were usually handed over to embalmers shortly after death, which increased the chances of quality mummification. The bodies of women remained in the family home for some time, until the first signs of decay appeared. According to ancient authors, this delay was explained by the desire to reduce the risk of abuse by those preparing the bodies, which affected the preservation of the remains. Capgras syndrome is a rare mental disorder in which a person is convinced that a close relative or partner has been replaced by an identical imposter. The appearance of the double seems to match perfectly, yet the emotional connection feels lost. Experts link this phenomenon to a disruption in the interaction between facial recognition systems and the centers responsible for emotional response. The disorder may accompany schizophrenia, dementia, or the aftermath of traumatic brain injuries. The level of the world ocean rises annually by approximately 3 millimeters, reflecting the combined effects of glacier melting and thermal expansion of water. It is estimated that by the year 2050, the total rise could reach around 30 centimeters compared to recent values. Even seemingly moderate changes increase the risks of flooding in coastal areas, shoreline erosion, and saltwater intrusion into freshwater systems. Long-term dynamics depend on the rate of warming and the stability of ice sheets. Large bodies of water can create local atmospheric processes known as the lake effect. Over the Great Lakes system, cold air masses passing over relatively warm water become saturated with moisture and become more unstable. As a result, cloud cover increases on the leeward shores, leading to intense snowfall or rainfall. This mechanism is particularly noticeable during the cold season, when the temperature contrast is at its maximum, and it explains the frequent snowstorms in the surrounding areas. Food waste has become a global issue today, affecting both the economy and the environment. Enormous amounts of edible food are sent to landfills every year, with a significant portion of the losses attributed to retail networks. This leads to inefficient resource use, increased emissions, and social inequality. According to statistics, the highest amount of food wasted per capita is in the United States, Australia, Denmark, Canada, and Norway. These figures highlight the need for more responsible food management and the implementation of measures to reduce waste. A house printed by a machine is no longer a fantasy, but a reality of modern engineering. A three-dimensional construction printer can erect buildings by layer, extruding a mixture based on concrete or special polymers through a nozzle. The process is fully controlled by a digital design, ensuring accuracy of shapes and dimensions. Walls are formed layer by layer without traditional bricklaying, which speeds up construction and often reduces costs. This technology opens new possibilities for creating more affordable and sustainable housing in various regions of the world. The unicycle, created by mechanic Kerry McLean in Livonia, showcases an unusual approach to transportation design. Despite its futuristic appearance, the idea of such a device is not new. The first projects emerged as early as the beginning of the 20th century, partly thanks to the Italian company Garavaglia. The machine consists of a single large wheel with the driver and mechanisms housed inside. The design combines engineering boldness with the complexity of control, making the unicycle both minimalist in form and technically challenging to operate. Fabergé eggs are regarded as outstanding examples of jewelry art from the late 19th and early 20th centuries. These creations were made by master Peter Carl Fabergé from 1885 to 1917, primarily for the imperial family. A total of 69 pieces were crafted, each distinguished by intricate design and a hidden surprise inside. One of the most expensive is the Imperial Cuckoo Egg, sold for approximately $14 million. The shape of the piece is linked to the Easter tradition of gifting eggs in Orthodox culture. A red rainbow is a rare atmospheric phenomenon that occurs under specific lighting conditions. When the sun is low on the horizon, its light passes through a thicker layer of the atmosphere, and shorter wavelengths are scattered, leaving predominantly the red spectrum. These rays are refracted in raindrops, forming an arc of an unusual hue. Simultaneous flashes of lightning enhance the visual effect, highlighting the contrast between the warm glow of the rainbow and the cold electric discharge. This combination makes the phenomenon particularly striking and rare to observe. Serial killer Edmund Kemper voluntarily confessed to his crimes after a series of offenses. In the early 70s, he murdered young women in California and then took the life of his own mother and her friend. After leaving the state, he traveled to Arizona and contacted the police himself, detailing the crimes he had committed even before receiving legal assistance. This behavior effectively ruled out the possibility of a defense and became a significant part of the legal proceedings. Volcanic eruptions can have a significant impact on the climate that extends beyond local consequences. During powerful eruptions, ash and sulfur gases are released into the stratosphere, where they transform into aerosols and reflect a portion of solar radiation. This results in a temporary decrease in the average temperature on the planet's surface. The scale of the effect depends on the volume of emissions and the height at which they spread, which is why major eruptions are often recorded in climate data as periods of short-term cooling. The passage of a large cruise ship through a narrow artificial canal requires utmost precision in navigation. The liner MV Braemar navigated the Corinth Canal in Greece, which has a width of about 21 meters, leaving minimal clearance between its sides and the stone walls. This canal connects the Gulf of Corinth with the Aegean Sea and significantly shortens the maritime route around the Peloponnese Peninsula. Its construction has accelerated trade routes and reduced transportation costs, marking a significant achievement in the region's engineering infrastructure. Lightning annually causes human casualties, despite the advancement of warning systems and weather forecasting. From 2006 to 2023, the United States recorded 480 fatal incidents related to lightning strikes. Most incidents occurred in open areas during thunderstorms, when people were without reliable shelter. An electric discharge can instantly cause cardiac arrest or severe burns, so adhering to safety rules during inclement weather remains critically important. Le Shuttle is a specialized railway system for transporting cars and buses through the Eurotunnel. The route runs beneath the English Channel, connecting Calais in France with Folkestone in the United Kingdom. The journey takes about 35 minutes, during which passengers remain inside their vehicles. This format simplifies border crossing, reduces travel time, and provides a sustainable transport link between the two countries. The Blue Bayou restaurant in San Pedro, Belize is known for its unusual seating arrangement right over the Caribbean Sea. The design of the establishment allows guests to sit at tables set on a wooden platform, dipping their feet into the clear ocean water. This format combines gastronomy with the natural environment, creating a sense of direct contact with the sea. Thanks to the calm lagoons and warm climate, this type of space remains safe and appealing for tourists, enhancing the experience of a coastal getaway. Dust devils are compact rotating columns of hot air that form when the surface is heated intensely. When sunlight heats the ground significantly, ascending currents develop above it, beginning to swirl due to local pressure differences. Inside such a vortex, particles of dust and sand are lifted, making the structure visible from the side. Typically, these phenomena are short-lived and less powerful than tornadoes. However, they clearly demonstrate how even small temperature differences can create rotational air movement. An optical illusion can completely change the perception of a familiar accessory. Socks featuring a realistic image of chicken feet create the effect that a person has bird limbs instead of feet. This illusion is achieved through precise printing that takes into account anatomical proportions and the placement of the toes, which match the shape of the foot. From a certain angle, the brain perceives the image as an extension of the leg rather than as a pattern on the fabric. Such design solutions demonstrate how visual techniques can deceive the eye without the need for complex technologies. The floating stage in the shape of a violin has become a vibrant cultural symbol of Venice. The structure, known as the Venetian violin or Noah's violin, is a large construction capable of accommodating musicians and equipment for performing classical works. Moving through the main canals of the city, it transforms the water space into an open-air concert venue. The architectural form alludes to the musical instrument, emphasizing the connection to traditions. The project combines engineering solutions and artistic ideas, creating an expressive blend of art and urban environment. Wildfires can create fire whirls when high temperatures combine with unstable air currents. Intense heating of the surface generates powerful updrafts that begin to spiral due to wind and terrain. Inside such a whirl, the flames are drawn upward, forming a rotating column of fire and smoke. The temperature in the center can significantly exceed that of the surroundings, and the movement becomes unpredictable, complicating extinguishing efforts and increasing danger to people and infrastructure. Although the giant panda is primarily considered a herbivorous species, its diet is not limited to bamboo. When the opportunity arises, the animal is capable of consuming carrion or small vertebrates, gaining an additional source of protein. This behavior can be explained by the evolutionary origin of the species from carnivorous ancestors and the anatomical features of its digestive system. Nevertheless, the majority of its diet still consists of plant-based food, while instances of meat consumption remain episodic. A double rainbow occurs due to the complex path of sunlight within raindrops. When a ray enters a drop, it first refracts, then reflects off the inner surface, and in the case of the second arc, it reflects twice before exiting. This additional internal reflection creates a fainter spectrum that is positioned above the primary rainbow. Meanwhile, the order of colors in the outer arc is reversed. The brightness and clarity of the phenomenon depend on the size of the droplets, the intensity of the light, and the position of the observer. Therefore, a double rainbow appears only under a specific combination of rain and sunlight. Unusual fuel pumps suspended from the ceiling have become a distinctive feature of some gas stations in Japan. This system is used where underground tanks are connected to pumping equipment that delivers gasoline and diesel fuel upward through flexible hoses. The design frees up space at ground level, which is particularly relevant in densely built urban areas with limited plot sizes. Additionally, the absence of traditional pumps reduces the risk of damage during vehicle maneuvers and simplifies traffic organization on the station's premises. Moving air is silent in itself and only becomes audible when interacting with objects. Sound occurs when the wind flow collides with trees, buildings, power lines, or irregularities in the terrain. At these points, vortices and pressure fluctuations are created, which are transformed into acoustic waves. This is why gusts are perceived as whistles, rumbles, or the rustling of leaves. The intensity of the sound depends on the speed of the flow and the nature of the obstacles, rather than the mere fact of air movement. A close-up of a bee with filled legs shows how the journey of future honey begins. On its hind legs are special cavities known as pollen baskets, although the accumulated substance may resemble nectar. The worker bee collects the sweet liquid and temporarily stores it in the crop, a special part of the digestive system. Upon returning to the hive, it passes the nectar to young bees, who take it and return it back again. This exchange happens repeatedly. During the process, enzymes are added that break down complex sugars, and excess moisture gradually evaporates. This is how, step by step, thick and nutritious honey is formed. Misting systems help reduce air temperature in public spaces in Saudi Arabia. Special stands are installed in parks and open areas, creating a cloud of tiny droplets. Due to the high temperature and dryness of the air, water evaporates quickly, absorbing thermal energy from the surrounding environment. This physical process, known as evaporative cooling, can significantly lower the heat by several degrees. The solution is particularly effective in arid climates and makes being outdoors more bearable even during the hottest hours of the day. Rabies becomes virtually untreatable after the first clinical signs appear. The incubation period can last for weeks or months, but once symptoms arise, fever, anxiety, throat spasms, and neurological disorders, the virus is already affecting the central nervous system. At this stage, therapeutic options are extremely limited, and the fatality rate approaches nearly 100%. This is why urgent vaccination and the administration of immunoglobulin immediately after potential contact with an infected animal are of crucial importance. The skyscraper, reaching nearly 1 kilometer into the sky, has become a symbol of the rapid growth of an entire metropolis. Burj Khalifa in Dubai remains the tallest building in the world, standing at a height of 828 meters. Opened in 2010, it embodies the ambitions of the city and showcases the possibilities of modern engineering. Its architecture is inspired by the shape of a desert flower, which is reflected in its distinctive silhouette. Inside, there are 163 residential floors, offices, apartments, an Armani hotel, restaurants, and an observation deck on the 148th level. The World Parkour Championship in the United States showcases the sporting evolution of a discipline that originated in France. Parkour is based on the ability to quickly and efficiently overcome obstacles using one's own physical capabilities. In a tournament format, teams of 16 participants compete in dynamic rounds lasting about 2 minutes. One athlete chases another on a specially designed course where speed, coordination, and tactical thinking are evaluated. The competition highlights the transition of street movement into an organized sports format. Salting roads remains one of the most common methods for winter maintenance of surfaces. Sodium chloride lowers the freezing point of water, causing ice to melt even at negative air temperatures. As a result, a saline solution forms, preventing refreezing and improving tire traction on the surface. This measure reduces the risk of skidding and accidents, especially on busy roads. Despite its simplicity, the the method requires careful dosage control, as excessive use can affect the condition of the road surface and the environment. Extreme heat can change the course of the agricultural season in just a few weeks. In 2003, a powerful heat wave in Europe caused grapes in some areas to dry out right on the vine and begin turning into raisins even before the harvest started. Prolonged drought and high temperatures accelerated the evaporation of moisture from the berries, disrupting the usual ripening process. This affected the volumes and characteristics of the produce, clearly demonstrating how sensitive crops are to climatic anomalies. The ghost town of Funing looks like a set for a futuristic film, but behind its empty streets lies a well-thought-out strategy. In the northeast of China, neighborhoods with almost no residents, closed businesses, and vacant buildings create an impression of abandonment. However, such projects are built with an eye toward future population growth and internal migration. As urbanization progresses, these areas are expected to gradually fill with people and businesses. Funing is already a significant industrial center today, with developed production of automobiles, equipment, cement, rubber, chemical products, and aluminum. All of this makes the city a potentially important point for economic development in the region. Since the mid-1950s, several nuclear warheads have been lost and remain undiscovered. Such incidents, known in military terminology as broken arrow, occurred during aircraft accidents or while in transit. In some cases, the devices sank in the ocean or were left in remote areas. Despite the absence of a nuclear explosion, such occurrences raise concerns due to potential environmental and political risks. The gibbon is a small ape known for its exceptional agility in the treetops. Its anatomy is adapted for brachiation, a mode of movement in which the animal swings from its arms, transferring from branch to branch. Its long and strong limbs significantly exceed the length of its body, providing high speed and maneuverability. In the sanctuary, the primates receive protection and the opportunity to maintain their natural behaviors typical of the forests of Southeast Asia. The color of the northern lights is determined by the composition of the atmosphere and the energy of the particles involved in the process. When charged particles interact with oxygen atoms at high altitudes, a green or reddish glow appears. Nitrogen molecules can impart blue and violet hues to the phenomenon. The altitude of the collisions and the speed of the electrons affect the spectrum of the radiation, so the palette can range from soft green to deep purple, reflecting the complex physics of the processes in the upper layers of the atmosphere. An unusual construction, dubbed the double Jeep, has become an example of unconventional car tuning. From its appearance, one might assume that two Jeep Wranglers have been merged into a single frame, creating a symmetrical structure. Most likely, the powertrain is located in one part and drives the entire mechanism, while the other serves as a balance and visual enhancement. Such a project showcases engineering boldness and the desire to create a vehicle that simultaneously fulfills practical and demonstrative functions. The LED bulb, known as corncob, got its name due to the characteristic arrangement of diodes across the entire surface of the body. Inside the cylindrical base are numerous LED elements that evenly distribute light in different directions. This design provides bright and voluminous illumination with relatively low energy consumption. The average cost of the device is around $11, making it an affordable alternative to traditional incandescent bulbs and fluorescent light sources. This solution combines efficiency, durability, and compactness. The loss of lift in a hot air balloon can lead to a rapid descent. The basis of flight is the heated air inside the envelope, which creates a difference in density and provides lift. If the temperature drops, the fabric is damaged, or there are issues with the burner, the volume of warm air decreases. Sudden weather changes, including gusty winds and temperature fluctuations, become an additional risk factor. In such conditions, the balloon loses stability and maneuverability, so the crew must constantly monitor the equipment and weather conditions. Over the past decade, extreme weather and climate events have affected around 1,700,000,000 people. This includes floods, droughts, heat waves, and powerful storms that have impacted living conditions, food security, and infrastructure. The increase in the frequency and intensity of such events is linked to changes in the energy balance of the atmosphere. The scale of the impact highlights the vulnerability of densely populated regions and the need for adaptation measures. The illusion of a floating coin creates the impression of a violation of the laws of physics. Yet, the explanation lies in the realm of tricks and visual effects. Modern science does not allow for the free levitation of a metallic object without complex magnetic or other technological systems. In such cases, the coin is typically held by a thin thread, a transparent support, or a hidden mechanism. Optical techniques and lighting make the attachment nearly invisible. This trick demonstrates how easily human perception can be deceived. Bright blue flashes on the body of the false fire sea urchin, Astenosoma varium, create the impression of glowing, although they do not actually emit light. This species, found in the Indian Ocean, attracts attention with its unusual coloration, which changes with the angle of view. The observed effect is explained by iridescence, an optical phenomenon that arises from the unique microstructure of the outer skeleton. Light, when hitting the surface, refracts and interferes, creating shimmering effects. Such a structure may serve a protective function, visually deterring potential predators. To rupture a human ear requires an effort comparable to simultaneously tearing approximately 7 sheets of paper. Despite its apparent fragility, the outer ear is made of elastic cartilage and dense tissues that can withstand a certain load. However, with a sudden tug or strong pull, the breaking point is quickly reached. This comparison vividly illustrates the mechanical properties of soft tissues and explains why ear injuries can occur with relatively small but sudden forces. The creation of David was a triumph of skill over a material that others deemed hopeless. The sculpture of David by Michelangelo Buonarroti was carved from a large block of marble that had been damaged and partially worked on by previous artists. The stone lay unused for a long time as craftsmen feared cracks and defects. However, the artist managed to utilize the characteristics of the material, transforming limitations into expressive elements of the composition. As a result, one of the most recognizable masterpieces of the Renaissance emerged, embodying the ideal of the human form. The art of miniature book scenes transforms ordinary volumes into three-dimensional artistic spaces. Inside the books, detailed three-dimensional compositions are created, depicting streets, interiors, or fantastical worlds. Often, the artisans enhance them with LED lighting, which intensifies the depth and atmosphere of the scene. This direction combines elements of literature, architecture, and design, allowing the viewer to literally peek inside an imagined story and see it in a compact yet expressive form. Cannibalism became a part of the crimes of the serial killer Dorangel Vargas, known as the Andean cannibal. According to the investigation, he took the lives of no fewer than 10 people and consumed their remains. Vargas claimed that he preferred men, considering their meat more suitable, while he avoided overweight individuals, explaining this by the high cholesterol content. His arrest occurred in the late 1990s, after which the case sparked widespread public outcry in Venezuela. The Dalmatian stands out not only for its distinctive spotted coat, but also for its remarkable endurance. This breed is characterized by a slim, muscular build and a high need for exercise, making it suitable for active owners. Historically, these dogs were used to accompany carriages and fire crews, as they are capable of running alongside horses for long distances. Dalmatians are generally friendly and loyal to their families, but they may show caution towards unfamiliar people. To maintain their health, they require regular exercise and consistent training. Birdly is an experimental flight simulator developed at the University of Zurich to create the sensation of free soaring. The system combines Oculus Rift virtual reality goggles, a motion platform, and a fan that generates airflow. The user controls the direction of movement by leaning their body, while the device simulates air resistance, enhancing the sense of presence. The project is not yet aimed at the mass market and is used for research and demonstration purposes, showcasing the potential of combining technology and sensory perception. The sculpture "Turning the Place Over" has become a notable artistic experiment in the urban environment of Liverpool. The project's author, architect Richard Wilson, used the facade of an empty building as the basis for a dynamic installation. A section of the wall with windows and doors was rotated 90 degrees, creating the effect of an opened interior space. The work transforms the usual perception of architecture and demonstrates how artistic intervention can change the relationship with the urban landscape. Severe turbulence can turn an airplane cabin into a chaotic zone in just a few seconds. During a flight between the United States and Germany, sudden air currents caused abrupt fluctuations of the aircraft, resulting in dishes, food, and documents scattering across the aisles, while the service carts tipped over. Such phenomena occur when encountering unstable layers of the atmosphere and usually pass quickly, but they can be accompanied by injuries. In this case, 7 passengers required medical assistance, highlighting the importance of keeping seatbelts fastened even when not taking off or landing. The performances of the French juggler Chris Cremo are based on precise calculations of the trajectory and momentum of objects. His technique creates the illusion of an additional hand, as if the objects appear and disappear out of the viewer's sight. In practice, the effect is achieved through lightning-fast changes in grips and the use of the natural fall of boxes, which are directed to the desired point with minimal delay. High coordination of movements and rhythm allow for the continuity of action. Such a level of execution is developed over years of training and a deep understanding of the mechanics of movement. Parasitic infections can remain asymptomatic for a long time. Some organisms adapt to living in the human body without causing significant disturbances in the early stages. Symptoms only become noticeable when the parasite reaches a certain stage of development or migrates to other tissues. In rare cases, its presence is detected visually through the skin or natural openings, which usually indicates an advanced form of the disease and requires immediate medical intervention. A quick movement of the hand can create the illusion of an object disappearing from the frame. When the palm rapidly opens and closes or performs a precisely calculated sequence of gestures, the human eye cannot capture the intermediate phases. As a result, the viewer sees only blurred outlines or individual fingers. The effect is based on the characteristics of visual perception and the limited speed at which the brain processes information. Such tricks are often used in magic and demonstrate how easily vision can be deceived with high speed and precision of movements. The steam rising from a person's head after intense physical exertion is a result of natural thermoregulation processes. During active movement, body temperature increases and the body begins to actively produce sweat for cooling. If the surrounding air is significantly cooler than the skin, moisture evaporates quickly and becomes noticeable as a light cloud. This is neither smoke nor an anomaly, but a normal reaction to the temperature difference, helping the body restore thermal balance after exertion. The size of hailstones is determined by the dynamics of cloud processes and does not have a strictly established limit. In powerful thunderstorm clouds, updrafts can repeatedly lift ice cores upward, where they accumulate new layers of frozen water. The stronger the updraft, the longer the particle is held in the cloud, and the larger it becomes. When the lifting force weakens, heavy hailstones fall to the ground. Thus, the intensity of convection and humidity in the air directly affect the potential size of hail. Fatal insomnia is classified as an exceptionally rare neurodegenerative disease that gradually deprives a person of the ability to sleep. In the early stages, it manifests as persistent sleep disturbances, but over time, episodes of wakefulness become nearly continuous. As the condition progresses, autonomic functions, memory, and coordination are affected, and common sleeping pills prove ineffective. The disease is associated with damage to the thalamus and, in most cases, leads to severe exhaustion of the body. Tinikling is a traditional Filipino dance that originated during the Spanish colonial period and has become a symbol of folk culture. It is performed to the accompaniment of a rondalla ensemble, which creates a rhythmic musical backdrop. Two participants synchronously strike and spread bamboo poles, setting a precise tempo, while the dancers swiftly move between them, carefully calculating each step. The slightest mistake can lead to a strike, so the performance requires high coordination and quick reflexes. It is believed that the movements reflect the agility needed to navigate bamboo traps used in bird hunting. A tow truck flipping over a row of parked cars creates an effect of unexpected spectacle. Such a scene may result from a serious violation of parking rules, when vehicles are placed in an area that obstructs traffic or the work of emergency services. In some cases, these compositions are intentionally created as part of an artistic installation, drawing attention to the urban environment or parking issues. Regardless of the reason, the scene appears unconventional and piques the interest of passers-by. It highlights how familiar objects can be perceived differently in a changed context. If you notice shimmering eyes on the ground in the dark, you may be encountering a wolf spider from the Lycosidae family. These predators possess a special reflective layer behind their retina that enhances vision in low light and creates a glowing effect. Unlike many other spiders, they do not spin webs to catch prey, but hunt actively and alone. Their maternal behavior is particularly interesting. The female first carries a cocoon with eggs, and after the offspring hatch, she allows the young to climb onto her back. Typically, she lays around 100 eggs. Their venom does not pose a serious threat to humans, but a bite can be noticeably painful. Flushing the toilet with the lid closed reduces the spread of invisible aerosol particles. During the flush, a cloud of tiny droplets forms, capable of rising into the air along with microorganisms. Although such particles are difficult to see with the naked eye, they can settle on surfaces in the bathroom and personal hygiene items. A closed lid creates a physical barrier, significantly reducing the radius of dispersion. This simple action enhances the sanitary safety of the space and decreases the likelihood of transferring bacteria and viruses in the household environment. Only a small fraction of living organisms has a chance of being preserved as fossil remains. According to paleontologists, the likelihood of fossilization is less than 10% for most species, as specific conditions for burial and mineralization are required. As a result, modern science has information about approximately 3% of all major life forms that have ever existed on the planet. This means that a significant portion of Earth's biological history remains unknown. Gothic armor of the 15th century represented a complex system of metal plates combined into a flexible protective shell. A complete set could include more than 200 individual pieces, crafted by blacksmiths with high precision for a specific owner. The weight of the armor typically ranged from 30 to 40 kilograms, which required physical training and the assistance of a squire when putting it on. Narrow slits in the visor restricted visibility, and the bulkiness of the design reduced maneuverability, turning combat into a test of endurance and coordination. Coober Pedy is a town where people literally live underground to escape the extreme heat. In the Australian settlement of Coober Pedy, located in the southern part of the continent, many homes are dug directly into the rock formations. The place originally emerged near opal mines and over time transformed into a permanent settlement. Today, around 1,100 people reside here. The underground dwellings help maintain a stable coolness year-round, which is especially important in the scorching climate and frequent fly invasions on the surface. The town has become an example of how people adapt to harsh natural conditions. In the human body, cells with genetic abnormalities regularly arise. However, the immune system typically eliminates them. Specialized mechanisms recognize altered proteins on the surface of atypical cells and initiate their destruction. This process, known as immune surveillance, plays a crucial role in preventing tumor development. Only in cases where cells evade recognition or suppress the immune response can their further growth and the formation of a malignant process occur. The city of Yuma in the state of Arizona is recognized as one of the sunniest places on the planet due to its exceptionally high duration of clear weather. In the summer, it records more than 13 hours of sunshine per day, while in the winter, the figure remains close to 11 hours. This amount of light is associated with a stable subtropical climate, a low number of cloudy days, and dry air. These conditions create prolonged hot periods and make the region one of the leaders in total annual insolation. The average raindrop reaches the ground at a speed of about 9 to 10 meters per second. The fall begins with acceleration due to gravity, but as it moves, air resistance gradually balances it out, forming what is known as terminal velocity. The size of the droplet directly affects its dynamics. Larger fragments fall faster, but if they become too large, they break apart. Thus, the interaction of gravity and aerodynamics determines the behavior of raindrop particles in the atmosphere. In Texas, an unusual social project has been implemented called the dog train. Its creator, philanthropist Eugene Bostic, has converted a small vehicle into a miniature train with separate cars for animals. With this transport, he regularly takes homeless dogs for walks around the city and nearby forest areas. The initiative provides the pets with physical activity and new experiences, positively impacting their well-being. The project has become an example of how private initiatives can improve the conditions for animal care. The behavior of some frogs changes before rainfall and is linked to atmospheric conditions. As pressure decreases and humidity increases, their activity rises, and their croaking becomes louder and more frequent. Such signals help attract partners during the favorable breeding period, when bodies of water fill with rainwater. Their sensitivity to environmental changes makes amphibians unique indicators of impending bad weather, as they quickly respond to fluctuations in temperature and humidity. Reynisfjara in Iceland is known for its black sand, formed from volcanic ash and basalt rock. The dark surface particularly contrasts with the snow, enhancing the visual effect of the northern landscape. The coastline is surrounded by distinctive basalt columns, shaped by the cooling of lava, while the powerful waves of the North Atlantic give the place a rugged character. The geological origin of the beach reflects the island's active volcanic history and makes it one of the most recognizable natural locations in the country. Imagine, the driving test takes place right on the route, and the main judge is a glass of water. In the Chinese city of Boj, bus drivers are required by law to place a full glass on the dashboard and drive in such a way that not a single drop spills. This approach encourages the smoothest possible driving without sudden accelerations or braking. It directly impacts the safety of passengers, especially those standing, reducing the risk of falls and injuries. Moreover, a calm driving style makes the journey more comfortable and predictable for everyone in the vehicle. At the Ascot Raffles Place Hotel in Singapore, the breakfast preparation process is automated with the help of a robotic arm. The device is capable of accurately measuring ingredients and controlling the degree of doneness, ensuring consistent results. This system integrates with software that manages the sequence of actions and processing time for the products. The implementation of such technologies reflects the trend towards digitalization in the hospitality industry. Automation enhances service efficiency and reduces the impact of human factors in routine operations. Sandstorms can conceal entire city blocks under a dense veil of dust in just a few hours. During severe storms, the wind lifts millions of tons of dry soil into the air and carries it for dozens and even hundreds of kilometers. The particles of sand create a thick suspension that sharply reduces visibility and disrupts transportation and infrastructure. Settling dust infiltrates buildings, damages machinery, and poses health risks, particularly to the respiratory system, making such phenomena a serious natural hazard for arid regions. The destruction of the bottom of a glass bottle can occur due to various physical reasons related to the distribution of stresses. In one case, damage arises from internal defects in the glass or from sudden temperature changes that weaken the material's structure. In another case, the principle of hydraulic shock is utilized. When struck at the neck, energy is transmitted through the water, which is virtually incompressible, creating a powerful pressure wave. The most vulnerable element turns out to be the base of the bottle, where stress concentrates and leads to instantaneous failure. The first daily weather forecast was published on the 1st of August in 1861, thanks to the efforts of Admiral Robert Fitzroy. He systematized observation data and used the telegraph for rapid information exchange between weather stations. The publication of forecasts allowed for warnings to be issued to sailors and the public about approaching storms. This step marked an important milestone in the development of meteorology, laying the groundwork for regular analysis of atmospheric processes and their public dissemination. Speed windsurfing on the river in Namibia combines the power of the wind and the flow of water, creating unusual conditions for the sport. Unlike classic bodies of water, seas and lakes, the riverbed limits the space and creates additional turbulent currents. Athletes utilize the tailwind and the natural movement of the water, allowing them to achieve significant speeds. At the same time, the complexity of controlling the board increases due to varying depths and bends in the shore. This format demands quick reactions and precise trajectory calculations, turning the ride into a dynamic test of skills. The massive congestion off the coast of Long Beach has become a vivid manifestation of global logistics tensions. Dozens of container ships are lined up in the waters of the Pacific Ocean, waiting to enter California ports for unloading. Such queues particularly increase before periods of high consumer demand, including Black Friday sales, when import volumes surge sharply. Limited terminal capacity, staff shortages, and transportation resource constraints exacerbate the effect. As a result, delays directly impact delivery times and the formation of retail prices. A hermetic door designed to retain water can withstand significant hydrostatic pressure. Such constructions are used in hydraulic structures, laboratories, and protective systems where reliable space isolation is required. Strength is achieved through a reinforced frame, dense seals, and precise fitting of elements that eliminate leaks. As the water level rises, the pressure increases proportionally to the depth, so calculations take into account maximum loads. Engineering precision and the use of durable materials ensure stability even under extreme operating conditions. The duel between a samurai and a knight is a clash of two warrior traditions and different martial schools. The samurai, trained in the art of kenjutsu, typically changes stance after each strike, varying the angle of attack and aiming to disrupt the opponent's rhythm. His movements are characterized by fluidity and quick adaptation to the situation. The knight, on the other hand, relies on heavy armor, powerful strikes, and a stable position. In reconstructions, it is particularly noticeable how their techniques differ. The samurai can finish a strike with the blade pointed downward and then instantly change the direction of the attack, demonstrating flexibility and tactical thoughtfulness. The leafy snake in Hydrus plumea may appear to be covered in hair, but this is merely an effect of its environment. Prolonged immobility among rocks and bottom silt encourages the growth of a layer of algae and microorganisms on its skin. This coating creates an unusual appearance, but it is temporary. During shedding, the snake discards its old skin, and with it, the entire layer of vegetation disappears. This characteristic helps the reptile better camouflage itself in the underwater environment, making it nearly invisible among aquatic plants and murky bottoms. Some freshwater bodies may contain the amoeba Naegleria fowleri, which affects the human nervous system. This microorganism enters through the nose when water is inhaled and reaches the brain via the olfactory nerve, causing primary amoebic meningoencephalitis. The infection develops rapidly, accompanied by high fever, severe headache, and altered consciousness. It is extremely rare, but progresses severely and often ends fatally within a few days, making early diagnosis particularly challenging. Laminar flow is an organized movement of a fluid in which its layers slide parallel to each other without forming vortices. This regime occurs at relatively low flow speeds or high viscosity of the substance. Particles move predictably without chaotic mixing, which distinguishes laminar flow from turbulent flow. Such a phenomenon can be observed during the calm outflow of a liquid, when the surface remains smooth and even. This process vividly demonstrates the fundamental laws of hydrodynamics. Neighbors of the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer recalled that he sometimes treated them to homemade sandwiches. After his arrest, suspicions arose that in some cases, these dishes might have contained remains of his victims, although no direct evidence was presented. It is known that the criminal concealed his tracks by dismembering bodies and storing them in his apartment. Such details heightened the public's interest in the case and made it one of the most discussed in the criminal history of the United States. Artworks made from recycled materials have become part of an art exhibition at Istanbul Airport. Their creator, Turkish artist Deniz Sadic, uses discarded items, fragments of plastic, fabric, and metal to create detailed portraits and landscapes. The works not only showcase a high level of craftsmanship, but also emphasize the idea of sustainable consumption. The artistic approach transforms waste into an expressive visual image, reminding us of the possibilities of resource reuse. Blood rain is a rare atmospheric phenomenon in which precipitation takes on a reddish hue. The cause is tiny particles of desert sand or dust lifted by the wind into the upper layers of the atmosphere and transported over long distances. When such aerosols mix with clouds, they fall along with the rain, tinting the droplets. These occurrences are most often associated with the transport of dust from arid regions, including the Sahara Desert, which gives the precipitation an unusual color without any biological origin. Optical illusions of movement often arise from the peculiarities of depth perception. When observing a horse in a video or a sequence of frames, the direction of its movement can be determined by the change in the scale of the figure relative to the surrounding objects. A decrease in size within the frame indicates distance, while an increase suggests proximity. The brain analyzes the overlap of objects, lines of perspective, and the relationship of sizes, creating a sense of space even in a flat image. These mechanisms are fundamental to the visual interpretation of reality. Pancreatic cancer often develops silently and may not cause noticeable symptoms for years. The tumor gradually grows without affecting well-being until it impacts the bile ducts or neighboring structures. One of the first noticeable signs may be painless jaundice associated with impaired bile flow. By this time, the disease is often already at an advanced stage, complicating treatment and explaining the relatively unfavorable prognosis with late detection. The serial killer Mac Ray Edwards used his job to conceal his crimes. As an employee of the California Highway Department, he buried the bodies of his victims in areas designated for future highway construction, and then participated in overseeing those projects. This coincidence made it difficult to discover the remains, as the sites underwent extensive excavation. Some bodies were found only years later, but there is a possibility that some burials are still beneath the roadway. The pizza with a record number of cheeses has become an example of a culinary experiment taken to global recognition. French chefs Benoit Bruel and Fabien Montelanico created a dish that included 1,001 varieties of cheese. This achievement was officially recorded in the Guinness World Records as the highest number of cheese types used in a single pizza. The realization of the project required careful selection of ingredients with different textures and melting points to maintain the integrity of the base and harmony of flavor. Intravitreal injection is a method in which a medication is administered directly into the eye for targeted effect. The fluid enters the vitreous body, or anterior chamber, allowing the active substance to be delivered straight to the affected structures. This approach is used for serious ophthalmological conditions, including age-related macular degeneration, diabetic macular edema, and intraocular infections. Direct delivery increases the concentration of the medication in the desired area and makes treatment more effective compared to systemic therapy. The McMurdo Dry Valleys in Antarctica are considered one of the driest regions on the planet. In this area, rainfall has been virtually absent for nearly 2 million years. The cold, dense air flowing down from the glaciers prevents the intrusion of moist air masses, while extremely low temperatures limit cloud formation. As a result, a unique ecosystem has developed, where life is represented only by resilient microorganisms capable of surviving in conditions of intense cold, wind, and severe moisture scarcity. An unusual frog from the Amazonian forests attracts attention because it cannot control its landing. After jumping, its body tenses sharply, and the amphibian falls on its side, back, or even face down without stabilizing in the air. This refers to the species Leptodactylus phallax, which is found in the northern part of South America, from Brazil to Colombia. Such a manner of movement appears clumsy. However, it is considered an adaptive feature. The sudden drop and unpredictable trajectory may hinder capture by predators, increasing the chances of survival. According to the World Meteorological Organization, 20 of the last 22 years have ranked among the warmest in the entire history of instrumental observations. This statistic is based on global temperature data collected from ground stations, satellites, and ocean buoys. The recurrence of record values indicates a persistent trend of rising average temperatures rather than isolated fluctuations. The long-term nature of these changes is confirmed by the consistency of independent observation sources. The bag from the French brand Coperni has become an example of the use of advanced materials in the fashion industry. The accessory is almost entirely made of aerogel, an ultra-lightweight silicon nanomaterial that is more than 99% filled with air. The technology was originally developed by NASA for capturing cosmic dust. Weighing around 33 grams, the product remains sturdy and visually resembles glass. The project illustrates how scientific developments find applications beyond the laboratories. The tidal bore on the Qiantang River in China is a rare natural phenomenon known as a tidal bore. During strong ocean tides, water rushes upstream in the river, creating a powerful wall that moves against the current. Due to the shape and sheen of the foam, this phenomenon is referred to as the silver dragon. The wave is characterized by its significant height and speed, making it one of the most impressive in the world. Each year, it attracts numerous spectators eager to witness the dynamic interaction between the sea and the river. A swarm of autonomous drones flying in sync through the forest showcases the modern capabilities of robotics and navigation. Equipped with cameras and sensors, the devices exchange data and create a three-dimensional model of the terrain in real time. Such coordination allows for the safe exploration of complex landscapes without human involvement. This technology is used in surveying, environmental monitoring, forestry, and search and rescue operations, where rapid and accurate assessment of hard-to-reach areas is required. Curly hair on a pig looks surprising, but there is a whole story of selection behind it. We are talking about the Mangalica breed, developed in Hungary. These animals are characterized by a thick, curly coat that helps them endure cold climates. Like all domestic pigs, they descend from wild boars, retaining some primitive traits of their ancestors. The breed is valued for its high-quality meat and lard, and its unusual appearance has made it recognizable worldwide. The Mangalica vividly demonstrates how selection can combine practical benefits with striking biological features. Although butterflies are associated with nectar, some species are capable of feeding on blood. This behavior relates to the phenomenon of hematophagy and is observed in certain tropical representatives. Insects use their proboscis to access the damaged skin of animals or humans, extracting fluid as a source of salts and proteins. More often, they feed on sweat, tears, or plant juices. However, when blood is available, they can switch to it, which expands their feeding strategy in conditions of limited resources. Consciousness induced by cardiopulmonary resuscitation remains a rare and poorly understood medical phenomenon. In some cases, during chest compressions, a patient may exhibit movements, open their eyes, or even attempt to speak despite the absence of independent circulation. It is believed that the mechanical compression of the chest temporarily maintains a minimal blood flow to the brain. However, such signs do not indicate the restoration of vital functions, and in cases of cardiac arrest, the outcome often remains unfavorable. The remote-controlled model, in the shape of Superman, creates the impression of free flight in the air. The toy is made from lightweight materials and is equipped with a built-in propeller hidden within the body, which provides lift and maneuverability. Thanks to its thoughtful balancing, it maintains a horizontal position, creating the illusion of hovering without support. Control is carried out from a remote, allowing for changes in altitude and direction of movement. The cost of the device is around $40, making it an accessible product in the mass market and a popular option for an unusual gift. A high-energy laser can irreversibly damage a smartphone camera in a fraction of a second. Laser radiation is characterized by coherence and high energy density, so when it hits the sensor matrix, it causes local overheating of the sensitive elements. Pixels can literally burn out, losing the ability to accurately capture light, and bright spots or stripes appear in the image. Lenses are also susceptible to damage from thermal effects. This process clearly demonstrates the vulnerability of optical systems to concentrated radiation. Human muscles are capable of generating strength that exceeds what is typically used in daily life. The nervous system consciously limits the degree of their contraction by regulating the number of muscle fibers engaged. This protective mechanism reduces the risk of tendon ruptures, ligament injuries, and fractures that could occur with full resource utilization. In extreme situations, when an adrenaline rush occurs, these limitations are partially lifted, which explains the rare instances of brief displays of unusual physical strength.